The FEB program is something the community of youth that we run into here and all around the Northeast have been asking for. Where can I get experience? What can I put on my resume? I have no experience. We wanted to give an opportunity for youth to really build their skills, again, something that they can take out into the workforce. We bring in 10 youth from the Northeast area. We put them through very real world what it's like to work in a restaurant. We do skill building, knife skills, food safety, food prep, and preparing them to eventually go into the job market.
It's been really great. When I think about their first day in the kitchen, they were a bit quieter, maybe not asking as many questions. I think now they're really comfortable to just come to me and ask a question, and they seem to really be getting into it, enjoying it, playing around with ingredients. And I say this all the time, knife skills are life skills. And then, all these skills like communication and teamwork and being respectful in the kitchen. I always say, pretend there's guests out in the front, like no yelling, shouting. Yeah, they're learning all these skills. So they can take those skills anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a restaurant.
They mentioned, oh, it feels natural. It feels like second nature, for example, cutting the vegetables. They're seeing that their skills are already improving. If you take them from the first class to now we're in the fifth, in the middle of our classes, they can feel themselves becoming already adept of working in a kitchen and even working under the time constraints that the instructor tries to simulate a real workplace with.
I like learning new things about food that can actually help me in the real life and just if you want to actually do it as a career.
Nothing makes me happier than seeing young people coming in, working with us, for us. It's been just a real joy watching them. Super engaged and excited about what they're creating, and I hope some of them do pursue this career.
Because we are trying to simulate a real workplace, we're trying to build that confidence. In a few months, if somebody is able to be in a real restaurant, in a real kitchen setting, that they can not be intimidated by the pressure. That's really something that the instructor has really wanted to have the kids understand, that there will be real pressures, but that you have the skills to be able to deal with those.
The most difficult thing is just getting their foot in the door. So they don't have experience. People want to hire people. Do you have experience? No, I don't have experience. Well, how are they supposed to get experience without experience? But what I would like to see is that if one of the youth goes to a restaurant and they say, oh, I have this certificate from FoodWorks, that it actually means something. Then an employer can actually go, oh, okay, yeah, I've heard of that. Okay, that's great, all right.
So we're hoping that myself as a youth worker that I can really follow up with the youth. It won't just be sort of a one-off, okay, you're done, here's your certificate, good luck. That because we're in this community, once they're done with the program, I can continue to engage with the youth and see how I can support them in their sort of journey into employment. We'll be recruiting within the schools, within organizations. We have posts on social media. We have a poster that has a QR code so that youth can apply themselves, and then I'll be able to reach out to them, go through the interview process with them. Again, even through that interview process, that's its own skill building, and we see if we can get 10 youth to come again in the spring and do it all over again.
Each other, and I just have kind of a starting question is, why FoodWorks? What do you want to get out of this? What is your goal from signing up for this course? I'm going to start with you, Phoenix. This is Phoenix. Who is? Yeah, let's come and stand around our island here. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so starting with Phoenix, what do you want to get at? And Phoenix was on our last session too, so he knows the ropes, but what are you looking to learn?
To learn more skills about cooking.
Okay. You want to get a job, ultimately, right? Okay. KJ, what about you? Okay. At where? Okay, so would he be able to get you a job there? And it's in the kitchen? Okay, cool, that's good to know. Okay, I've already asked you, but tell everybody, Ruki.
I want to know how to cook more white food.
White people food. I want to know how to cook more Nigerian food, so, okay, so we can trade.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm more than happy to teach you.
Okay, cool. All right, Erin. Okay, do you want to end up with a work? I'm sorry, are you in school? Are you in high school or? High school, okay. What grade are you in? Okay, and KJ, you also in high school? You graduated, okay. So are you in school at the moment, or? Okay, awesome, cool. All right, and are you looking for part-time work too? Is that what you want to get out of this? Not at the moment, okay. And Nader, are you in school too? Grade 10, okay. Okay, perfect, good to know. That really helps me kind of direct you guys a little bit if I know what you want out of this. Okay, so just kind of a very brief introduction to me. My name's Catherine Joel. I own my business is actually a little cooking school, so it's private. I do cooking classes to the public that I sell on a website. I have a studio downtown, actually on the McEwen campus. I rent a space in there. So I run classes multiple days a week publicly, and I do lots of private corporate work. So I do team building where people come in to cook and eat a meal together. So I do quite a lot of that. A little bit of catering, not so much. Yeah, so I've been in my current location for 8 years. I started my business from home when I moved here from England, which I did in 2009. So that's me, and was teaching in England too, and had another completely different food business doing food production in England also. So I'm gonna grab my notes or remember what else I was gonna ask you. There they are. Okay. So, the things we're going to cover today are kind of just some basic hygiene, so you know when you go into a kitchen what to expect, and dishwashing, because honestly the entry to a lot of kitchens is dishwashing. Everybody always needs dishwashers, and in a busy kitchen, if you end up getting in as a dishwasher, you'll often end up getting into prep too. A lot of small establishments, everybody needs to be an all-rounder, so we need people who do a bit of everything, especially a super small business like mine. I need people who can do a bit of everything. So people who work for me float. Like the dishwashing's pretty intense, but anybody in there also ends up doing a bit of service. They end up doing a little bit of prep, honestly a little bit of everything. I'm small, bigger restaurants, different roles, but dishwashing is kind of an entry level for a lot of people. And then I'm going to start with an intro to basic knife skills, and we're just going to build on that over the 8 weeks, because if you land in a kitchen, even if it is as a dishwasher, and you know how to handle a knife, that's going to give you a really good leg up. If you know your hygiene and they see you know what you're doing, that gives you a really good leg up too. I know for me, when I'm interviewing people, which I haven't done in a long time, I did hire one of the girls part-time who was on Phoebe's been working for me part-time, but I've got my son works for me, and I have a crew of people who've been with me for a long time. But when I do interview, I'm looking for people who know a little bit, and also who have a little bit of a passion and an interest in food. It kind of really matters. It's a quirky industry. It draws quirky people, but kind people, and having an interest in food is huge. And being a little bit passionate about it is huge for me. So I'm going to start. We're going to look at the dishwashing area and kind of just set it up and look at sanitizing. And then after that, I'm going to talk about hand washing, which is really important. But let's look at the dish. Actually, maybe we'll do hand washing first. So the first thing you are always going to do when you go into a kitchen, and then you're going to do it frequently throughout the time you're in a kitchen. Anytime you rub your nose, touch your hair, go to the bathroom, whatever, you need to wash your hands. So there are always hand washing sinks in kitchens. I'm really bad. I've got my phone out. You shouldn't actually handle your phone either. Just put it away. Mine's sitting there just because I've got a class running at work and I need to check it in case anybody needs me. But put your phones away. And if you feel like you have to handle your phone, actually sanitize it. Right? Just literally spray it with some sanitizer so that your phone is clean. But the first thing you're going to do when you walk into the kitchen is find the dishwashing area. And the one in mine actually has I've got one in my dish area that it controls with your leg, so you don't even have to touch the tap. You just kind of turn it on with your leg. But in this case, we've got to turn it on. And there's soap. I don't think they're dispensers. I think you need to use the pump. So you're all just gonna wash your hands. And then you're just gonna keep doing that. And wash them really well, okay? And then along with that, for hygiene, you've all got your hair tied up. That's really important. I don't personally have people wearing hair nets, but some places will have you do that. I just tie my hair back. My youngest son works in a restaurant on Saturday nights. He's in IT, so he has a full-time job, but he was out of university working in a friend's restaurant, and he just wears a baseball cap in the restaurant. And he's got long hair to here, he ties it back and he wears a baseball cap. So a lot of people, that's what they'll do. He kind of dishwashes and he does prep in again, a very small kitchen. There is a garbage here, guys. Usually there's a garbage underneath the dishwashing, but yeah. So, also you'll see my nails, okay? No nail polish. They're short, so ideally no nail polish in the kitchen, because if it chips, it gets in the food. And any chef worth their medal, women chefs, will have short nails. You just do, yeah. And jewelry, I suppose. Sometimes I wear a ring, but no jewelry. Yeah, on your hands. Yeah, because bacteria and stuff can get caught in your rings. And also your rings get dirty. Oh, there's a garbage here, hon. There you go. Okay, so we're just gonna go and look at the dishwashing, and I'm just gonna talk to you about what dishwashing area in a kitchen looks like. So this one, if you'll just come and gather around me, this is what we call a 2-sink system. I have a 3-sink system, and generally your health inspector, and just legally you need, generally, that said, I'm looking at taking out a second space and there's only a 2-sink in there. But you should have 3 or 2 and a sanitizer. So a sanitizer is a dishwasher that goes up to a certain temperature that it keeps what goes in it at, I forget what the temperature is, it's like 90 something for 3 minutes. So I have what we call an under-counter commercial dishwasher. This is a domestic one, like this is a different setup. But in my kitchen, I have 1, 2, 3 sinks, and under this, next to this sink, I have this over it. And then I have an under-counter commercial dishwasher that has a 5-minute cycle. So the process in my kitchen is this sink has soapy water in it. So we load up dishes as we're working here, and whoever's dishwashing starts them in here, soapy water. The second sink is just filled with clean water, so we rinse in there. The third sink has what we call sanitizer. So in my kitchen, we just use a cap full of bleach. There is a ratio. So bleach inside water. And once it's gone into that, it's actually food safe. So you don't need that third sink if it's going through a commercial mechanical dishwasher. We tend to use both, but that's kind of the setup. So if you know how that works, it really, really helps. It's typical to have these sprayers in kitchens for washing up. And I'll show you how this works. So this guy, so you've got your tap that moves around. If I turn this off, okay? No, that's on. Okay, everything's off. This turns on and off this tap. So you can just turn everything off with that and have your water turned on, and then if you turn this, it goes on. It's a mixer tap, so there's usually that on these. And then this guy is really useful for cleaning off dirty dishes. These, in a professional sink like this, when you're setting it up, these guys are for catching food waste. So they just slide in at the corner like that. So these guys go into the sinks like that. These are actually really important because if you have food on your dishes and plates, you don't want it to go down the drain and block the drain. So when you empty the sink, you empty it with these in it, and then you just, we use like a window cleaner, kind of a scraper to scrape up all the food waste and throw it away. Usually in a commercial kitchen, yeah, here it is. This is called a grease trap. So this thing catches any grease and deals with it, and then that'll get emptied out every now and then. So it's good to know what that looks like. The grease trap, they get cleaned just depending on how busy the kitchen is. They come in with like a big hose and clean it out. It's kind of gross. It smells really bad when they do it. Some kitchens also have an enzyme system, which I have, that breaks down any food that ends up in the sink so that you don't get blockages. Yeah, so sometimes you'll have both. In mine, I have my grease, my grease trap, and then there's an enzyme thing sitting on top. It's like a little bucket. And you'll hear it whirring when it's releasing those enzymes. So with this sink, you would go with just hot water and just totally fill it up, says me. There we go. And just dish soap in here, okay? So that's that one. And then this one, because we don't have it, and it's really hot, so you wear gloves. I'm not seeing any gloves here right now, but it should be too hot to put your hands in it, and you wear good dishwashing gloves. I might just pick up some sets of gloves and bring them in. What I do at work, because I find it's gross sharing gloves, I have a Sharpie and we write everybody's names on gloves so they have their own gloves. And we buy really kind of ones that come up to here that are really good quality. You should not dishwash with your bare hands. You're dealing with chemicals and you'll actually cause yourself allergies and things. So I get really upset if I see people trying to dishwash without gloves on. It's really, really bad for your skin. So always wear gloves. And also you can't get your hands in water this hot if you don't have gloves on. So that's really important. So it doesn't help that I didn't put the plug in. Sorry, duh. This is the plug. So it just goes in. Doesn't look like a plug, but these are the plugs, okay? And what happens with this, if you walk away, which happens a lot, and you're filling your sink and you walk away, if it overfills, the water will go down this and down the drain so that you don't get a flood. So yeah, so these are the plugs. So this end goes in sink, and that's that. So I know last cohort, I guess I'll call it, it was just a 2-hour class. Tolu's got you all staying 3 hours so that we do the cleanup at the end of this. There won't be a ton of cleanup today, guys. So then here, we would fill it up with water. And you want to see this a bit foamy. Somebody left their dishes in here. Maybe we will actually load these dishes into the dishwasher so we're not dealing with somebody else's dishes. Just get rid of these. Tolu, do you know, sorry, do you know if we have rubber gloves? Oh, you know what? They're here. They're here. They are here. I see them. Yeah, they're down here. Okay. Okay, let's just get rid of these so we're not dealing with these. And then in a 2-sink system like this, you would rinse in here, like rinse with this after you wash. And then we're gonna fill this one. I would fill this much fuller. We're gonna fill this one with sanitizer. So I'm not seeing any bleach here. This is what we call Sani. I don't see any bleach. So I'll do it with, I'm not gonna use this because I don't know if this is, generous. Yeah, no, this isn't, this is for surfaces. So we don't have it, but what you would do, you want to get either what we call quad cleaner or some bleach into this sink. It doesn't really matter in this situation, but professionally when you're sweet. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay. So literally like a capful, okay?
This is the bleach we use for clothes?
Yeah, it totally is. I used to buy what's called quad cleaner for this, and my food inspector came in and said, you don't need to spend that much money, just use bleach. It's the same stuff, yeah. It's just a little bit, but basically it's what we call it sanitizes. It will kill any bacteria on your plates. So when you're dealing with Alberta Health, everything you wash has to have either gone through Sani, we call this the Sani sink, or through a commercial dishwasher that takes it to that high temperature for like 3 minutes. It's either or, you don't need to do both, but either the temperature or the chemical kills all bacteria. So they want to see one or the other. They also actually, you get these test strips, pH strips, that you're supposed to test your water with. I'll bring some in next time. You're supposed to test your Sani sink for the pH level so that you know that you're using the right amount of chemicals. The other thing that they'll really look at in kitchens, like my health inspector came a couple of weeks ago. I'm pretty safe, they don't come very often, but they came a couple of weeks ago, and the first thing he did was walk over to my ice machine and check that I have my ice scoops in a separate container, because people will just sling them. You'll get all kinds of bacteria in your ice, and then it goes in people's drinking water. So there's lots of things they look for. They also always ask me about sushi rice and how much vinegar I put in my sushi rice to know that it's safe held at room temperature. There's a few things that they're really funny about. They always want to see that you got your pH test strips, and they want to know how you sanitize everything. So it's really important. And if you go into a kitchen and you know this stuff, it really definitely helps. So we'll kind of keep harping on that. If you forget and you want to ask me, just ask me about that. So we'll just turn this off, okay? And we will look at that later. So we'll put the bleach down here. And actually, while we're kind of in this area, let's quickly look at the refrigerator too. So over here, they have a walk-in fridge. And there's lots of stuff that I recommend, if you're here early any day, just start reading some of this information. You can, if you end up working in kitchens, you can do your food hygiene certification, which it's a useful thing to do. I did mine online when I moved here from the UK. And then I went and sat the exam at NATE. It was like a quick exam. It's a general, it's like a, what you call it, multiple choice. But it's things like temperature. So here, this tells you there's this danger zone of temperature. So food that's held out of the fridge and out of an oven, between 5 degrees centigrade and 55 degrees centigrade is what they call the danger zone of temperatures, and that's where bacteria multiply really quickly. So you need to know all these different types of foods and what's okay in the danger zone and what isn't. So you can kind of have a look at this stuff. It tells you about food storage. So this is a diagram of how a fridge should be set up in terms of storage, especially any fridge, but it's walk-in, it's really easy to see. So any raw meat goes on the bottom, and it's logical, because if you think about it, if you've got raw meat sitting there, if it drips, that's the worst kind of contamination, is the juices from raw meat. So if it's at the bottom of the fridge, any dripping from that isn't going to drip onto anything. And then on the next shelf, it's any, so that's whole. Actually, I didn't know this, I should know this. So whole, then ground meat and ground fish, because I guess that's going to drip more, and more raw. So these are cured meats. Whole cuts. Okay, so I did my food hygiene in the UK. It is actually a little different now. So, okay. In my fridge, I have raw on the bottom. I don't have a walk-in, and then anything cooked goes above. So I tend to do, and then also you need to be mindful of allergies too. So keep your seafood separate from your meats and things like that. So you basically would have raw meats, and then I'll have cooked meats, and then I'll have produce above that. I actually keep my produce in a separate fridge, and then I have dairy separate. Like this doesn't even show you kind of dairy and stuff, but you can kind of have a look in here and see how they got it. There's no raw meat in here, but that's kind of a typical walk-in fridge that they've got shelves in here, and that diagram kind of shows you how you would organize it. The main thing to keep in mind is that any raw meat goes below anything cooked, and it's just about contamination, which brings us to generally contamination in the kitchen. Cross-contamination is probably the most important thing to think about in terms of hygiene. Do you guys know what I mean when I say cross-contamination? Anyone know what I mean by that? You don't have to know, it's okay. All right, so cross-contamination is when any bacteria from food, when you transfer it from one type of food to another. So let's say I was working at this cutting board here and I was chopping a piece of steak. And then I put my steak, it's chopped, I put it in the fridge, and then I leave the same cutting board and I come and slice my bread on it. Then I'm not going to cook that bread. I've cross-contaminated it by using a cutting board that had raw meat on it and then put on it something that I'm not going to cook, and I put raw meat juices onto a piece of bread that's not going to get cooked. So that's a very simple way you can cross-contaminate. Another way is with your hands if you haven't washed them. So you're dealing with meat and then you go and wash some salad, but you haven't washed your hands, you can get raw meat juices into your salad. Another way is with your cleaning rags, and this happens a lot. You'll see a lot of chefs hanging rags on, sorry, I wear my apron like this, so and this is pretty typical, and I see you guys doing the same thing. I wrap my apron strings around my waist and tie them, and then a lot of chefs will hang a rag in here, and they'll use it for everything. And so they might take a rag, somebody might take a rag and clean up around where you had raw meat juices, and then they use it to clean up a vegetable section. And then you've, again, cross-contaminated. So everything you do in the kitchen, think about that. Every tool you use, every rag you use, where has it been? And if it's been around anything raw or anything that's going to potentially cause food poisoning, throw it in the wash or wash and sanitize it. It's really, really important. Okay, so cross-contamination, understanding that is huge. Also sinks. So a lot of people will do this thing where they wash raw whole chickens. So it's a very North American thing, is to unwrap a chicken, take it over to the sink and wash it. And what you do when you do that is spread raw chicken juices all over your sink, okay? And then if you don't clean, yeah, it splatters everywhere. And if you don't clean the whole area with sanitizer, you've got chicken juices everywhere. I never wash chickens. I dry them really well. They're gonna get cooked in the oven. They don't need to get washed. I work with a friend of mine who's also from England, who's a butcher, and that's like her biggest pet peeve of things that people do here is try and wash poultry in the sink. So if you do that, you need to sanitize everything, because you've got your sink, and let's say we've done it here, all right? So I've splashed around my chicken juices as I'm washing, and I've got chicken juices here and here, and then I throw my salad in and I'm washing my salad. I could get raw chicken juices on my salad. So this is kind of like extreme stuff, but just to get across to you that thing of cross-contamination, just think, it is so easy. And in food service, if you get somebody sick, you're going to get sued, or the restaurant you're working in is going to get sued, and it's going to get shut down. Kind of other basic, so just because my food inspector was in, I'm in a university and it's really clean, but they want you to check for pests. There was a fairly well-known restaurant here recently, they just closed down, who got shut down for, oh my God, rat droppings and other stuff in their kitchen. So you should regularly check for pests. Are there cockroaches here now? Oh, are they? No, I didn't hear that. Okay. Oh, jeez. So there were not cockroaches in Alberta, but they're here now. So I lived in Toronto for, Carly's from Ontario. I lived in Toronto for a little bit when I was young, and my mother had a catering business there. She went to catering school in her late 40s and opened a little place on Spadina. And cockroaches like electronics. So she took our microwave from home into the place into her little kitchen, and cockroaches will climb into the electronics, and then she brought the microwave home, and I woke up in the night after, and I had a little cockroach sitting there looking at me. They're everywhere in Toronto, like there's a big cockroach problem. We have not had that problem here, but now we do. Yeah, so yeah, so you need to look for pest control. So always kind of, this kitchen is immaculate, but kind of you're looking for mice and rat droppings, and yeah, and exactly, and that kind of thing. So cleanliness. So at the end of every shift, you clean, and between, you know, dealing with different types of food, you clean. So that's bringing us to these two little buckets, and there's different sized ones of this. So you'll see these in kitchens, this green bucket and the red bucket. So the green bucket in my kitchen, it's just like the sink system. I put soapy water in this, and then the red one has sanitizer solution. We've actually got spray bottles, and this is what I use at work. I just use Lysol because I'm really small. I don't go through tons of chemicals. But my personal cleaning protocol in my kitchen is I have a bucket of soapy water, and I clean all my surfaces at the end of a shift with soapy water, and then I follow with sanitizer spray. And you're actually not supposed to wipe it, you're supposed to leave it because it eats the bacteria. We tend to wipe it in our kitchen, but if you do spray it, let it sit for a little while and then wipe it off. But that's at the end of every shift. We clean everything, and in here we'll sweep the floors, and they have cleaners come in at night who will mop the floors, but we'll sweep. So those cleaning protocols are really, really important. And if you get a shift in a restaurant, if you guys do want to work in a restaurant and they see you cleaning properly, they will love you. Because a lot of people come in and they're really slovenly. I hired this one guy to teach classes at one point, and he came in with his personal food and slung it down on our prep stations, like his sandwich and his wrappers are all there, and I never brought him back because I was grossed out. Just silly things like that, like, you know, keep your personal food on the table, right? Just think about your cleanliness the whole time. So that's enough of that. We'll keep harping on that over the next 8 weeks. So what else did I want to talk to you about? Okay, so we've talked about dishwashing protocols. So setting up your workstation. So when you're prepping, generally kitchens are pretty small, and you'll set up a workstation for yourself. If you're in for prep generally happens in kitchens before service. So you'll come in before they open for service if you're on prep, and you're gonna set up a cutting board. So when you're dealing with a cutting, that's a fridge. Yeah, that's a fridge. So one is a fridge and one, actually that one's a freezer. They're both freezers. Sometimes these guys are fridges, sometimes they're freezers. So those are both under-counter freezers. Yeah. When you're setting up a prep station, you're going to get a cutting board. And actually, the cutting boards are color-coded, and I should know what they are. I actually use wooden cutting boards at work. If anybody wants to know, I'll go and... This is usually for vegetables. The red one is for raw meat. We're not going to worry about it here because we don't have that many cutting boards. But you could Google it, or I can Google it for you. The brown one is for cooked meat. The white ones are kind of general purpose. I can't remember what the yellow ones are for. I'll look that up for you guys so you would know. But you want to see how this slides around. So you want to set something underneath it. So you can either use a dampened rag or just some wet paper towel. So you can just take one of these, just use one of them. So whenever you come in here and I tell you to set up your workstations, you're just grabbing a cutting board, and you're going to get a dampened rag under it, like so, or paper towel. Just sit it on it, and now it moves a little bit. But it sets it. It stops it from moving. And then the other thing I would get, so Carly put all our knives sitting in water here. So you're going to grab. I brought my knife kit. I've got a really basic knife kit with me to show you too. So if you're grabbing a knife, when you're moving around with it, it's down by your side, okay? And if you are, so I'm around here, I'm gonna say to you, sharp. So anybody there knows I've got something sharp in my hands. I know some people will also say, as they're coming around a corner like this in the kitchen, this is kind of kitchen language, corner. So you know somebody's coming around the corner. You would always say, if I'm walking behind you in a kitchen here, I would say behind, in case you haven't seen me. So you kind of warn people, because you might step back and I might have a pot full of hot oil in my hands. And if I walk behind you and I haven't said behind, if you step back, there might be hot oil all. Does that make sense? So it's really important to use that kind of kitchen language so people know where you are, where you're moving. Because often you're head down, you're prepping, and you don't know somebody's walking behind you, and you might kind of do this. And if somebody's walking behind you with a big pot and haven't warned you, it could be an absolute disaster. So just things like that. And then I was talking to you, a lot of people You can call the chef. They'll tell you what they want to be called. I don't like being called chef. That's me. I don't like the whole hierarchy of kitchens. It's not my shtick. So you can call me Catherine. But in some kitchens, like where my son works, he works at Partake, which is on, where is it? Jasper and 124th Street. Cyril, who owns it, he's like this 60-year-old Dutch chef. He trained in really high-end French-style restaurants. He likes to be called chef, so they all call him chef. In my kitchen, we all call each other by first name. Also, like, don't talk over your chef. So you'll hear that, yes, chef, yes, chef, yes, chef. So you don't need to do that with me, but just so get to know as soon as you're in a kitchen those protocols, how people like to be addressed. There aren't a lot of kitchens, there's a lot of hierarchy, so be ready for that. Okay, right? Have you worked in kitchens?
When I was younger.
Okay.
I was younger, and it was more like, I don't think there's a house here, is there?
No.
In Ontario, it's like a Boston pizza.
Okay.
It's a Boston pizza.
Okay.
It's like a long time ago.
Okay, yeah. My first job when I was 15, after babysitting, was Burger King. I worked in Burger King. Yeah, in Ottawa, actually, and I don't speak French, so I couldn't do cash. So I was in the kitchen, yeah, chopping onions and things like that. Yeah, so. Long time ago. So there's my cutting board set up. I've got my knife sat on it. When I'm carrying my knife, always when I take it to the dishwashing, I am going to have it down by my side. Don't ever put your dirty knives into the sink. That's really important too. Put them on the side in their own area where whoever's dishwashing can see them. If you throw knives into the sink and your dishwasher grabs the blade and can't see it because they've got soapy water, because usually it'll be really soapy, they're going to cut their hand open. So never, ever put knives in the dishwashing sink. That's really important too. Yeah, it's really dangerous.
We always did it like, you are putting a knife in the dishwater, put it on the left side.
Yeah.
That way you know it's easy.
Yeah, it's all common sense, right? Like none of this is complicated, but it's really important stuff to know. Like kitchens can be pretty dangerous places, so you need to be conscious of safety all the time. Then what else? So if I was setting up a prep station, so like tomorrow, I'm going in, I'm teaching a Thai street food class in the evening. I'm gonna go in 3 hours before and I'm gonna prep for my class. I'm gonna set my cutting board up, I'm gonna have all my ingredients out, I'm gonna have prep bowls in front of me, and I'm gonna have a garbage bowl. So let's say this will be our garbage bowl today. So I have a garbage bowl really close, so my garbage I'm throwing in there, so I'm not running over here every time, and this is efficiency. So only when this is full, then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to empty it and then come back. It's just an efficiency thing. There's now there's all these kind of TV chefs. I think it's Giada De Laurentiis. There's somebody who's selling garbage bowls for counters. It's ridiculous. It's a pretty one. Just use a bowl. Any bowl will do. Yeah, but that's kind of your setup. And then you would normally have like a rag for cleaning as well. So, and you can have a towel in here for wiping your hands, okay? But if you do, like I said, be really mindful of how you use it in cleanliness, okay? So that's, any questions about all of that? Has anybody worked in a kitchen? Any of you been in a kitchen before, apart from Carly? No, have you been in the kitchen your friend works at? Yeah, okay. It must be a big kitchen if it's in a hotel. Ish? Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you some basic knife skills now. So it's actually kind of nice that we're a small group because we're just gonna stay around this little island together and do some chopping. And we're gonna make just a tomato bruschetta. I'm gonna show you some very basic skills and we're gonna just utilize most of it in a tomato bruschetta. We're also gonna learn to slice onions and I'm gonna caramelize them. We could do them next week, but the problem with sliced onions and freezing them, which I would have to do because we're not together again until next Wednesday, they don't caramelize very well after you've frozen them. So the first knife skill I'm going to show you is slicing onions, and then I'm going to show you how to caramelize, which is over the weeks I'm going to show you lots of different kind of basic culinary terms. The only cooking thing we're going to do today is caramelizing, which is slightly advanced, but it's just a good thing to do with sliced onions. So what I'm going to do is I've got tomatoes here. I'm going to put all of our ingredients over here. These are shallots. Do you guys all know shallots? Anybody never seen a shallot before? What do you call them here? Sorry, that's my accent. Shallots? Shallots. I call them shallots. Yeah, so they're onion family. So they're used in France, and they're used in Southeast Asia actually a lot. And I use them a lot. They are gentler, milder than an onion. So in a bruschetta, which is a raw tomato topping for toasts, if you put raw onion, it's a little harsh. This is a lot gentler. So we're gonna learn to chop those. I've got some fresh basil. I'm gonna teach you how to do what we call a chiffonade of basil, which is something you do with soft leafy herbs. And we've got some garlic. I'm just going to show you how to smash garlic. That's going to go into a bruschetta too. And then we have onions. We won't use all of these today. I just bought lots, and then what we don't use we'll put in the fridge and we can use next time. So I am going to get you all to set yourselves. We're going to share the garbage bowl. Everybody is, and I'll explain what these are in a minute too. Everybody is going to grab a cutting board and a knife from over there and set yourselves up around this little island. Sorry. And I brought a knife roll with me. It's not too hot, that's okay. So I'll show you a couple of knives. She pulls it from the blade, that's not very smart. Okay, so that is my chef's knife. Just to kind of, that's what I'm gonna teach. You're all gonna use a chef's knife today. So a chef's knife, this is just the shape of a chef's knife. Once you're all back with your cutting boards, I will show you how to hold a chef's knife. And I want you all to grab one of these things. This is what we call a bench scraper. I will explain that in a minute. I'm going to give Carly a job in a minute too, which is just to make the crostini. Yeah.
Oh my God, everyone washed their hands again.
I know. I didn't, but I haven't touched anything.
It's a habit to just touch your
It is, yeah. I'm pretty careful, but yeah. Yeah, like I like spicy food. I work a lot with chilies and I don't wear gloves because I never touch my face.
Yeah,
And so,
terrible. I eat everything I add spice to, and my eyes end up burning.
Oh,
or, like,
no.
my nose or something, because I always forget.
that's no good.
Always forget.
All right, so, look at everybody. Just waiting for KJ. All right, so these are bench scrapers. You will use it to pick up your ingredients, okay? So we also use it for making doughs. I'll show you that when we do some baking. It's really useful for cleaning your counter for doughs. When I'm kneading bread doughs, you actually use this. When you have a really wet dough, you actually use this the kneading process. Making pasta, I use this for cutting my eggs into my flour for pasta dough. So there's lots of things I use this for, but for picking up your waste to throw into the garbage, what you've chopped to throw into your prep bowls. So these are really, they're just really efficient. They're really useful. So they picked these up for us, which made me very happy. This is a weighing scale. We're not going to use this today, but I do everything by weight. I don't use cups and measures as much. You will find that in professional kitchens. It's much more accurate to when you're measuring recipes. And we'll come to this when we start doing baking. We'll talk about measuring recipes and what I call scaling, which is where you multiply or divide a recipe to make less of it or more of it. Much easier to do with a weighing scale. So that's just that. They picked that up for me as well, because we will be using that when we come to baking. I'm going to just give everybody an onion, but I'm going to show you what to do with it first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got an extra one, that's okay. Let's move this out of the way for a second. Okay, so, and these are tasting spoons. We don't need these quite yet, but I always have tasting spoons in my kitchen. So when they're facing up, this is just me, this isn't every kitchen, they're clean. And when you taste stuff for seasoning, when you're done with it, throw it down into one of these, okay? It's just because you got to taste. It's really important to taste everything for seasoning. Don't just follow a recipe that says 1/4 teaspoon of salt and assume it's going to taste right. You got to taste everything. In fact, don't even do the 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Add it until it tastes right. Recipes are like, for me, an idea. I don't follow them, you change them. However, in restaurants and hotels, they will have worked out their recipes exactly because they need consistency. So they'll have, in like a big place, they'll have exact recipes that you need to follow, and they'll know exactly the amount of salt and pepper because they'll be using the same ingredients every time, and there's no divergence from that. But in my setting, and in lots of small places, we're working with different ingredients all the time, and you got to taste and adjust. So when you are dealing with an onion, these are yellow onions. There's lots of different onions. There's red onions, there's white onions, but this is your typical yellow onion that most people use, otherwise called a Spanish onion. You're gonna use your chef's knife for it. So this is my chef's knife. The ones you guys are using are a little bit different. I'm gonna give you this one, KJ. When you're holding your knife, and everybody can practice this, you're gonna use your hand, whichever hand, I'm right-handed, high up on the handle. So you're gonna hold it right high up on the handle, not down here. You're holding it high up. Your thumb goes on one side of the blade and your curled first finger on the other side. So you're holding it, I used to work with a Mexican chef who liked to describe this as holding it fierce. But you're really firmly holding your knife. You have a lot of control on where you're holding it. And the movement, generally, when you're working with a knife, is the tip of your knife is down on the cutting board. You're holding it really firmly, and your knife is sliding. The tip of the blade is moving forwards, and you're sliding your knife through whatever it is you're cutting. Generally, the part of your knife that comes into contact with what you're cutting is this part. It's about 1/3 of the way from the end of the blade. It's not up here. I see my customers all the time want to cut with this part of the blade. It's generally this part that you're cutting with. That's where the strength of your knife is. That's where most of the weight of the knife. So if you kind of get used to whenever you're cutting this rocking motion, some ingredients are too big and you're not going to get that, but it's this rocking motion and it's really relaxing. Your arms are relaxed by your side, your elbows relaxed, and you're literally just sliding your knife, okay? So that's what's happening with your knife cutting hand. Your other hand is what's holding your ingredients. And very important as you get fast at chopping, and you'll see I've got a little, it's healed over, which is why I'm not wearing a Band-Aid or gloves. I was in my kitchen a couple of weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and somebody talked to me. I was prepping and I looked up and I kept slicing my thumb. I sliced a little chunk of my thumb off. very small one, but don't do that. The way not to do that is to do this. You focus, and do this. So whatever you're holding, your fingers that are holding it, and it feels awkward, right? It does feel awkward. They're like a claw. So when you're slicing, you can't slice your fingertips. Your knuckles are acting like a knife guard. In big kitchens, like Aramark is a big corporate, Aramark is a big company that does food service. So like McEwan University and the U of A, Aramark does all their food service. They make their cooks wear these metal gloves. They're like chainmail gloves that you can't cut yourself. I would hate to wear one of those, really hot and uncomfortable. But like if you're using a mandolin, maybe I'll bring in a mandolin one day and show you guys. But if you are working really with sharp stuff, you can get these chainmail gloves that protect you. But just doing this, okay, is part of the way. So when you're dealing with an onion, this is Knife Skills 101. The first thing you want to do is cut off that root, just the outside of the root. And that's where all the dirt is in your onion. And then you're gonna take your bench scraper, put this in the middle, and I usually go like this actually, and just clean that up, all right, into my garbage. And then I'm gonna slice off the stem side, okay? And then next, I am gonna cut it in half. Let's do a couple of garbage bowls. We'll put one here, let's find another. Yeah, thank you. We'll put another one down here so everyone can reach one. And then once you've done that, you've still got that root intact. It's really important to keep that root intact. It will become clear to you in a moment. So you're only cutting off the very outside of the root, okay? You're not, yeah, exactly like that. Exactly. These, sorry guys, the knives you have are not the sharpest. They are what they are. No, so, and actually, dull knives are more, you're more likely, everybody should have a go of my knife. And my knife needs sharpening, but everybody should have a go with my knife. But do me a favor and don't drop it, because it's a really expensive knife when you're using it, okay? All right, so you've all got that. So the next thing, they're basic knives. It just is what it is. If you get into this, sometime invest. You don't have to spend a fortune, but get yourself a chef's knife. All right, so the next step is to cut it in half through that root, okay? And then peel it. And your peel is just gonna go into the garbage. And usually I'll peel off the whole outside layer, because it's a little, you can keep it for the stock pot because it's a little leathery. So the outside layers can totally go in your stock pot. A good kitchen will often make stock. I make lots of stock. So not the skin, but this part could go in the stock pot. This bit here. I'm actually gonna teach you to make veggie stock next week. So we could keep these trimmings in another bowl. If we get Carly to get us one more bowl, we can keep these bits of the outer onion skin. I would take that off, yeah, and we'll keep it for stock. Then I'm gonna show you two ways of, we're gonna do different things with the two halves of our onion, okay? So this is for our onion, the layers, not the skin. The skins go, that's okay, the skins go in the garbages. Let's put one down there, it's garbage. All right. So, can everybody see me? Just put this here for a minute. So, first of all, I'm gonna show you slicing an onion. And we're gonna use these, sorry, I'm using so many bowls. We're gonna use these for caramelized onion. If you grab the small metal bowl behind you there, the smaller one, we're gonna just, this time I'm gonna cut off that root, okay, into the garbage. And I'm gonna turn my onion and I'm gonna slice it. So I am rolling back my fingertips and I am just slicing my onion. And when it gets kind of precarious, you can turn it and just continue, okay? So that's my sliced onion. And because instead of slicing it this way, I sliced it this way because I'm going with the grain of the onion, so it's not gonna break apart. when we're caramelizing it. So I'm gonna use my bench scraper, pick it up, and all of our sliced onion is gonna go into this bowl. Ooh, we're all gonna cry. My mascara is gonna run.
It does feel super awkward to have your fingers in, but it is super.
It's really important.
Stick them in.
Yeah,
Get used to it.
here,
Phoenix.
watch your fingernails. Phoenix has it. Like this, guys. Yeah, like this. And you're actually holding the onion with, I know it's really awkward. It's super awkward.
You get used to it once you keep doing it.
You do. It's just practice. Every time you're chopping at home, get used to doing this. Yeah. Okay. So all of our sliced onions going into here. Okay. And then I'm going to show you how to chop some onion. Do we have Ziploc bags here? Because we're going to freeze the chopped onion. Next week, we're going to make a vegetable stock, and we're going to make like a chopped vegetable soup. Glasses help. Yeah, glasses totally help. You can wear goggles. Apparently contact lenses help. My son is dating a science person, and he said, I don't know, when you slice onions, it creates an acid in the air, and that's what gets in your eyes. There's actually acid affecting us, but glasses help. Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's an acid in them that hits your eyes. Yeah, there's the things you can do. Blunter knives are worse. Sharper knives, it's not as bad. Yeah, but yeah, it is what it is. When I worked at Burger King all those years ago, they gave us goggles. They had a onion chopping machine, and one day I spent like 5 hours chopping onions, and you wear goggles and you're fine. But you can buy onion chopping goggles. So now I'm going to show you how to dice an onion. And if you want, borrow my knife for this. And this is where keeping the root on comes into effect. So just practice this at home, okay guys? If you learn this one skill, there's chopped onions in so much of what we cook. This will speed you up so much. So what you do is you take your onion and you're gonna cut slices into it. Pretend there's a line here, so you're cutting at a 90 degrees angle towards that line where the root is without quite going through the outside of your onion. So, and the closer together you're doing these lines, the finer diced your onion is going to end up being. So the tip of my knife is not quite going through the outside of my onion, okay? Like so. Yeah, if your name tags are in the way, just tuck them into your aprons or something, guys. Okay? So you're trying, where's your root? So you're gonna go in from this way, and you don't wanna go, I'm gonna show you from where you are, okay? So, are you left-handed? No, you're right-handed. So you're gonna go, I'm just gonna show you two. You're going in here, so the tip of your knife isn't going through there, and here, okay, so you're not going through the outside, and then you're just gonna keep doing that, okay? Yeah, you're done? Cool. Yeah, that's perfect. If you've never done this before, that's perfect. Yeah, there, yep. Okay. This is a great skill. Obviously, it's slow the first time you do it, and you're not using the best knives. But keep doing this, and also you cry less when you do this. So if I was prepping 100 onions, I would do them all to this stage, and then I would do the final chopping, because it's the final chop when you actually really cry. It's not, you don't generally cry when you just do this. It's when you finish it. So then, the next thing you do is take your knife and you do a horizontal cut. And if I had a great big Spanish onion, I would do 2 or 3 of them. And everybody does this slightly differently. The way I do it is I take my blade in from about here and I angle it down towards the root, and I'm just doing a cut like that. And that's what's gonna give me an even dice when I slice my onion, because the next movement I'm gonna be doing is to slice that way to get my diced onion, okay? So this just gives you a more square dice. So that's the next thing. So you're gonna start a little higher, and then on a slight diagonal, there you go, towards the root, just one. Not as far as the root, and just watch your fingers again, but see what Devon's doing there? He's been with me before, exactly like this. Yep. But from this direction, towards the root, yeah, towards the root. The root is like your anchor. The root is what's holding the whole thing together. So all of your cuts are towards the root. The root is holding it all together until you do the final slicing. I'm gonna have to go and blow my nose and then wash my hands. Sorry, sorry. Oh my goodness, onions are the worst. Are you okay? It's the worst. Yep, so next, let's just move that. So the next motion, you need to hold it together. Now, if we hadn't done that cut, it would be easy. But now that you've done that cut, it wants to fall apart. So you gotta hold your onion together and then just take your time. And then you're slicing through it this way, okay? And can you see what the result is? Diced onion. And when it gets precarious, turn it on its side and continue. And then you're just left with this little piece and just garbage, okay? So now I have diced onion. And you can do a large dice or a tiny dice. We're gonna do shallots. We're gonna try and do them small. And I'm gonna get everybody just to do half a shallot. And you're gonna use my knife because I'm just gonna pass it around. Everybody's gonna do 1/2 of a shallot to go into our bruschetta. Because doing a shallot with these knives is just gonna make you cry. I worked for a while with a chef who trained in Germany, and she went through an apprenticeship program, and she apprenticed at a Michelin-starred hotel in Berlin. And they, her first day on the job, they gave her a sack of shallots and got her to chop them, and her chef threw them all in the garbage, the first sack full, and said, "That's crap." I hope you don't land in kitchens like that, but that's very much Michelin star kind of stuff, and made her do them all again. Very wasteful, but it is one way to learn. So beautiful. See, you've all got, okay. So you've got some chunky bits. That's just because you didn't get the direction. So just practice this. It's turn your name tag again. Nader. I need to think like Darth Vader. I need things for remembering names. I need little tricks. Okay, Nader. Yeah, just practice at home, love, okay? Do you cook at home? Okay. Get her to get you to chop onions and just practice. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. We are gonna just gather up all of these and we're gonna put them in some kind of a food storage because we're not using them today. Let me just see what I can find to store them in. We're gonna freeze them until next week. Oh yeah, perfect. Let's put them in like that guy. That's perfect. And look at this, there's lots more metal bowls in here. Good. So everybody's just gonna fill your chopped onions into here and we'll use them next week in soup. So that is. You okay?
No,
Oh, don't worry about it. Those will caramelize too. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Don't be sorry. It's okay. No, don't worry about it. There's no stress. You are not in a professional kitchen. You're in a learning environment. It's all good. Yeah, don't worry about it. And that's the thing, stuff goes wrong, and usually you can recover from it. So you just put your, and I'm gonna do the same, because wash your hands, yeah? Wash your hands. And I have to do the same, because my nose is going and all of it, so. Okay, so, thank you. So I got lots of onions because I thought there were going to be more of us. So we'll just keep those and we will be chopping onions every week. I'm not going to make you do more of that today. My homework for you guys is, if possible, if you are cooking at home or if you've got somebody cooking at home, your homework is to say, hey, can I chop the onions? And just if you get that one skill practiced, and honestly guys, if you Google onion chopping, Carly's boyfriend did this, right? There'll be a million videos on YouTube showing you how to do this. So just put your phone in front of you with a video and just do it again, okay? Just keep practicing onions, it totally works. Yeah. All right, so these onions, we're just gonna caramelize. So, and I need to get them going because they take about an hour and then we'll freeze them for next week. But I've got a pot here, I'm gonna turn it on. We're gonna come back to knife skills, we're not finished. but I've got to get these onions caramelizing. So I brought some olive oil. So into my pot, these ovens are really slow. Let me wash my hands too, sorry. I gotta do that. Actually, I'm gonna do this because there's no Kleenex here. I gotta blow my nose, I'm so sorry.
Do you do that same technique with your garlic cloves?
You can do, I don't. No, I rough chop. I actually grate them a lot now. Yeah, I use a microplane a lot for garlic or just a regular grater. Yeah. Or I'm gonna show them how to smash it with salt too. Yeah, so I don't.
I do that. That's how I do it. I do the exact same thing
With garlic? That's cool. You need a good small knife.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll show them how to do that. But I don't.
Like the first thing that you
Yeah, we microplane them a lot.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay. All right, so over here, I've got some extra virgin olive oil, and I'm just gonna do just a generous coating on the bottom of a pan. And these are gonna disappear to almost nothing. Caramelized onions cook right down. I'm grabbing some salt. I brought some salt with me. I'm using kosher salt. I'll buy some more salt from here. So the brand is called Diamond Crystal Kosher Salt. You buy it at the Italian Center. You can't get it everywhere. It's big crystals, so you can feel what you're doing with it. So you can see how big it is, and it's uniodized. It's a really good salt. It's not that expensive. It's really good. So if I had a huge bowl of onions, I would add a few at a time as they start to collapse. But with this amount, honestly, I can get them all in at once. But you could do much, much more than this. But I'm just gonna do this. I don't want to keep you guys here late. So we're just gonna do a small amount, and I'm gonna salt them. And the salt does a couple of things. It flavors them, but it also actually starts to bring out the oils and juices in your onions. So the first thing that's gonna happen as we're cooking them is the water's gonna come out, and we're gonna cook that off. They don't have a hope of caramelizing until the water's cooked out. So you'll start seeing kind of liquid and condensation, and that's cool. We'll just keep cooking them, and we're gonna stir them frequently. Normally, where I work, my stove is here, I'm prepping here, so I'll be caramelizing onions from early in a shift if I need them, and I'm just keeping an eye on them, and I'm stirring them frequently, not the whole time. But you do need to keep an eye on them. I'm also in this kitchen, because this stove takes a long time to heat up. I'm gonna listen for them. As soon as I hear them sizzle, I'm gonna walk back and turn them down. So I'm gonna crank them up for a minute, way too high. Caramelized onions, I generally start them on high until I hear a light sizzle, and then I turn them down. You want to go low and slow. You're trying to develop caramelization is a technique. It just means whatever ingredient is, it can be vegetables, it can be onions, it can be meat, it can be fish. You are caramelizing the sugars in that ingredient. All ingredients have sugars in them. So what we're doing is cooking those sugars until they caramelize, which gives you flavor. Caramelization is flavor. So if you're ever making a pan sauce, so let's say you cooked a steak in a pan, you've got brown gunky caramelization on your pan. The other word for that is fond, or the Maillard effect is the other thing that it gets called. That's your flavor. So then you deglaze it, and then you add cream or whatever's going into it. But your flavor starts with caramelization. Caramelization is a really important skill in cooking. And a couple of terms when cooking onions. If I was cooking these at a low temperature, which I actually by default am at right now, this is called sweating. So when you're at a low temperature, with onions in particular, but any vegetables, we call this to sweat. And you'll see that ingredient in recipes all the time. If a recipe tells you to sweat your onions, you're looking at a low temperature for softness and translucence, no color. That's sweating. Then if it tells you to saute or fry, you're at a higher temperature, you want to hear it sizzle, you're trying to get some color on it. If you're caramelizing, you're actually going for that gunk stuck on your pan. In the case of onions, it's low and slow. If I was cooking a steak, I'd have a crazy hot pan and I would get it in there and I'd want it to caramelize instantly. But with onions, it's low and slow. So you can hear I cranked it up. I don't have a lot of control on this stove. It's gonna lower slowly, it's gonna heat slowly. It just is what it is. So it's starting to sizzle a little bit. Once it's really going, I'll turn it down. I'm gonna push these a bit because it's already 5:30 and you guys are here, we're all here cleaning up until 7. So I'll keep them going for about an hour. I'll go fairly high and fast on these so they're done and we can freeze them and use them for something next week. So that's that. Can you see if you look at them, they already look a bit wet. That's because I added salt and the juices are coming off. We're cooking them, the salt's doing that, the heat's doing that. See how they look kind of wet? So that's what I want. So keep stirring them. Once you start seeing caramelization, you scrape the pan, okay? You're scraping it back into them. So I'm gonna turn that down a little bit and we'll keep an eye on those. I generally, with my spoon, when I'm not using it, set it on like that. Or I'll have a tray at the side just to put my spoons on so it's clean. But yeah, I'll often put it like that. So we'll keep an eye on those. Then I'm gonna get Carly to help us out. Again, I know the ovens run really slow. In my oven, our crostini would take 7 minutes. I feel like they're gonna take a good 15 minutes in here. So I picked up some baguette. I'm gonna freeze one, there's not very many of us. But I'm gonna show you how to make a crostini. Do you all know what a crostini is? Crostini is just a slice of toasted bread. Okay, it's a base for canapé, or you can dunk it into dips. So crostinis are used a lot. So this is a ciabatta loaf. I'm gonna use my bread knife, which is this guy. So the long serrated knife is a bread knife, and carry it down by my side. And when you're using, throw that in there. When you're using a bread knife, you can either cut these into rounds or you can cut them at an angle, depending on how you want them to look. So if I was doing them into rounds, generally with a bread knife, you just want to take your time and go slowly so you have control. And a crostini should be really nice and thin, like this. So this bread has big holes in it, so whatever we put on it is gonna fall through. That's okay. So if you try and cut too fast, you're gonna end up with pieces of bread that are too big. But that's just like so. And behind me, I've got, these are, we call these half sheet pans. I'll explain this another day. This is a half sheet pan. I've lined it with parchment paper. I'm gonna sit my crostini onto here. Then before they go in the oven to toast, we're gonna drizzle them with some olive oil. And when they come out of the oven while they're hot, we're gonna rub them with some garlic. You guys have a recipe for this. This is a basic thing, is knowing how to make crostini. Basic. They're a canapé base. Canapé is like a one bite. So you might have, today it's tomato going on it, but it could be anything. It could be a white bean dip. It could be, I don't know. Yes, give it a stir. Might need to turn it down. Yes, thank you. So I'm gonna get Carly to do this, okay? But nice and thin. All right, and then, okay. Thank you, Ruki, right? Ruki? Yeah, thank you, Ruki. So, Ruki, I'm gonna put you in charge of the onions. Just keep an eye on them. Come back every now and then. Okay, thank you. All right, so back to our ingredients. Next, let's look at shallots. So these are shallots. We're each gonna do a half a shallot, okay? And then we're gonna throw them in the big metal bowl that's back there. These are still the garbages because we're gonna make our bruschetta in that. So I'm gonna cut them in half for you guys just to show you. We're taking, again, off the root. There. We're cutting them in half through the root. You guys can help me with this too. Okay, and everybody's gonna deal with half of one, peel it. Okay, there you go. Or you can do a whole one if you want, it's totally fine. Any trimmings can go into, that's our stock bowl. We're keeping that. And then this stuff goes into the garbage. You can even grab one, Erin, from behind you there. There you go. And I'm gonna get you all to try one of my knives. My youngest son bought me a new knife for Christmas. So it's this one. This is what I would call a utility knife. It's a bit hot in here. I'm gonna move these off of here. So, oops. It's the same maker as this knife. I love this knife. So he probably spent $150 on that, I'm guessing. This was a $600 knife, which is insane, but I do this for a living. But this is the same maker. These are Japanese knives. So I'm gonna get you guys all to give this knife a try. Don't drop it, okay? So you're gonna do exactly what we did with the onion with my knife. You feel intimidated? Oh, don't be, it's all good. And you wanna do this as finely as you can, because this is going in with tomatoes and you don't wanna have big chunks. So I'm just cutting my lines, okay? Don't be intimidated. Do not be intimidated. Okay, and then like that, and then just take your time and do a nice little dice. Of shallot. So I'm gonna pass you that. Just do a half, or do a whole one if you want to, okay? So that is our shallot, okay? Nice and small diced to go in our bruschetta mixture. This also, like dice like this, beef tartare always has diced shallot in it. When you're putting it into a mixture like this, you want it nice and tiny, because otherwise you're getting big oniony chunks. This was Brooklyn was our onion caramelizer last time. She's such a cute girl. She graduates this year? How old is she? She's 16? Okay. Does she know what she wants to do? She wants to what? Babies?
No,
Oh.
I think she's switched on that. She wants to do like hair, go into hair.
Does she?
Lashes.
No. I enjoyed her so much. She's very funny. How you all doing? You can feel free to use my knife in a second. It's passing around. KJ, you did great. See? Nothing to be intimidated by. I think she's gone to the washroom. So she did great. I'm gonna take her shallots and put them in the bowl.
You said it should be very tiny, right?
Yeah, ideally, you're gonna struggle with that knife. You're fine? Okay, cool. Yeah, tiny is good. Tiny is good. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Oh, again, turn it, because you've got the root. Always towards the root, and you can actually cut this off too. And just throw that away. Sure, why not? You did great. I put them in the bowl. See, nothing to be intimidated by. You did great. You're welcome. Lovely. This is great. You're doing great. You are doing great. This is fabulous. Thank you. Even with the big old blunt knife. There you go. It's not so bad. Okay, so when you've chopped your shallot, you're gonna get it into the bowl here. There you go, exactly. And we'll just keep any extra halves. We'll wrap them up and we'll use them next week. We'll put them in the fridge. And then,
Are we gonna set outside of the fridge, or are we gonna put something on?
I had a shelf in there before. They gave me this.
Programs, yeah.
Yeah, what if, you know what, we could put it all in a bus bin? Or what if we
Move this all on from there.
shift all this over to here? And then we take here.
Okay.
Yeah? Yeah, can we have this bit of the shelf? Okay. We might actually freeze those, Carly, because it's a full week. Yeah, I'm having to rethink how I do things because it's 1 week at a time. So I think we'll end up maybe. Do you have green tape?
Or even paint, like any painter's tape, right?
Yeah, painter's tape, exactly. Thank you. Just once you've done, you did your slices that way, then cut all the way through. Oh no, you didn't. I'm coming to show you. Use this. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. So, with this guy, I'm just gonna get you started. Same as with the onion, okay? Towards the root like this, and then you can do that cut again and then that way. But first do these ones, okay? Did somebody get cut? Oh no. Okay. Hi. Hi. Yeah. We need to bandage you up and put you in a food glove. You totally do. Yeah, you do. I had a glove on for a week after that. There are some kitchens will have what we call finger cops. It's one that just goes over one finger.
Yeah, then we have a first aid kit right there.
First aid? Tolu?
He just finished his training for it.
We had Favor, who was in the last course, cut herself and nobody knew what to do.
Okay.
Yeah, do it. Then just wash your hands afterwards, hon.
Do you want your bread oil?
Yes. So, yes, what we're gonna do over here. So with our bruschetta, guys, feel free to munch on bread. This loaf, I don't know if you can write FoodWorks on it and put it in the freezer, and then we can use it next time. I'm gonna eat a piece too. You know what to do, Phoenix. Just drizzle, okay? Thumb on, and drizzle the oil in there. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then those are gonna go, I put on 2 ovens, we don't actually need 2, but. Can you see in there, it's starting to caramelize. So this is caramelization. So I've turned it down because it's going really fast. So all the brown bits, that's what's starting to caramelize. So the sugars are cooking. Okay.
So you said you moved from England in 2009? That's the year my cousin moved there.
Really?
And it's funny because you both now, you're starting to lose the accent a little bit and she's starting to get it. You sound very similar.
I grew up partly in England and also in lots of other places, so I have a funny accent anyway. Where does she live?
She's all over the place.
Okay.
She was like right outside of London.
Okay.
Right outside of London. She helped with like the Olympics and stuff in there.
Oh, that's awesome.
She did her law degree up there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then she did her law degree and obviously it doesn't transfer.
Yeah, it doesn't.
She's coming back to Canada, so she lives.
Much Tolo's in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Cool.
that's our trip. We plan to go there in next year for a month or 2.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I love it, but I wouldn't live there again, I don't think. It's kind of a mess right now.
It's interesting the things, like my aunt goes out a couple times a year and my husband makes her like put on the red lip, like make her not look like a tourist because the chances of you basically getting jumped as a tourist.
In the UK?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She just makes them like dress a certain way so like
Yeah.
it's not noticeable that they're tourists.
Yikes. Is this in London?
Yeah.
Where in London?
I am not too sure. I'm not too familiar.
Yeah. It can be a bit rough.
In the stories that they said like going on the underground train and stuff, like they've watched people get them out.
Yeah.
Like a group of girls pretend one of them's pregnant so they can run like somebody. Like yeah, some scary stuff. But that's everywhere.
Okay.
Those in the oven.
Yes, so you can put them in the oven. I would set a timer for 10 minutes. And did I turn that oven on? No. This oven here is on, so they can go in here. And this one's on too, but let's turn this one off because let's turn it off. We only need one oven because there's not very many of us. This is a lot of shallots for not so many tomatoes. So maybe we will put some aside and use them next week again. Throw them in here, hon. Oh yeah, let's Ziploc them. Thank you. I hate to waste, but
They're not expensive onions, I call them.
they are, but they weren't crazy. I was shopping for work. I picked them up in TNT.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they're used a lot in Asian cooking. They're not that expensive in Asian supermarkets.
We
No.
use them all the time.
Yeah. Let's go. Okay. Catherine. That's okay. This is Christy. No, this is Carly. I'm Catherine.
Yeah.
Carly with a K? Okay. Let's get these in there too.
I think they use this for burger as well, right?
Often.
Before
Caram-
AW burger.
Yep, caramelized onions on top, absolutely.
I want to ask a question.
Yes.
Must it be all only oil that must be used? Can we use carbonara oil?
Yeah, you can. The reason I use olive oil is the flavor. Yeah, flavor and the health properties, but it's the flavor. Yeah, I love the flavor of olive oil. Okay, so next, let's look at garlic. So we're gonna add all of our tomatoes into there. Garlic, I'm gonna show you how to smash it with salt. You know what, let's move these aside because they're clean and we're not gonna use these. So let's put them into our bus bin over here. Here we go. And I'm just gonna show you a little technique using salt where you can smash garlic. So you put a little salt. The salt is abrasive and it acts chemically. It brings out the oils. So if you use your knife and put the heel of your hand on, just kind of smash down on that garlic clove. I bought peeled garlic just to keep our lives easier. And then putting a little bit of pressure on that garlic, you can just make a puree out of it with the salt. Okay? So again, this is probably more than we need. So yeah. You change it. Yeah, so when you would be washing your hands, change the glove. Yeah, you can wash the glove, but I would just change it. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thank you. Are your finger okay?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. That happens. So yeah, so, oh, yeah. So we're gonna take it and we are gonna put it on the side here, okay? Yeah. Grab a new knife, there you go. So, you literally can make a puree this way. So I don't use this technique as much anymore. I went to French culinary school, and this was how we had to do all of our garlic. Nowadays, I use my microplane a lot. I grate garlic a lot on a microplane. Yeah, but that's like this very easy technique using salt. So a word on this though, when you prep garlic like this into a puree, this is it at its very strongest. It's going to taste very strong like this. If you chop it, it's less strong. If you slice it, less strong again. Garlic, the flavor of garlic is different depending on how you prepare it. It's really kind of interesting. Yeah, it would. If you puree it in a blender, it's going to be strong again. You've brought all the oils out. Yeah. You need to do quite a lot to be able to blend it, but yeah. And then if you're doing a lot, like let's say you're doing a lot of Indian cooking or Vietnamese or whatever, and you use a lot of garlic, to store it, you could do lots. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna show you. You're gonna get them. You're gonna get a little salt onto there. And I'm not gonna do this, but you're gonna smash it, put all your weight on it with your hand to really smash it. And then you use your knife like this.
Let me do something tiny.
Do a smaller one. There you go. Yeah, do that. So smash it, and then you're just gonna do this. You're literally putting weight on it until it forms into a puree like that. And then we're gonna put it in here, okay? It's a lot of garlic. We're all gonna stink of garlic after we eat our tomatoes. Tomatoes. I think so, yeah. I think a week is a little bit long. And just back to my caramelizing onions. And you want to keep an eye on those little crostini. We're looking for them to be just dried out.
And they're close.
Sorry?
They're so close, right?
No, they got a long way to go. I go pretty far on them. Yeah. Yeah. And right at the end, I'll add in, if I've got some, a little bit of butter. Really brings them on if you add just a few knobs of butter. Okay. So when you've got your garlic done, and I'm trying to watch you all, but if you have questions, if you're struggling, just let me know, okay? Just tell me what you need help with. If you need me to come and help you, please say. Next.
Having a hard time just with getting it pureed.
Okay, let me show you. So it's a little bit of, did you put some salt on it? Okay, so it's a little bit of muscle. I'm pressing really hard on it, okay? You can even kind of go like this, and then you were almost there, okay? You were almost there, you almost had it. And then it's in a lovely paste like that, okay? Yeah, do another one. Where are we at for time? Oh, 6 o'clock. All right, so next, moving along, because it's 6 o'clock already, tomatoes. You're gonna cut them in half, and for bruschetta, we would usually throw away the seeds. So what I generally do is just use my thumbs and just scoop out the seeds, and I'll actually scoop the stem out too. So just all into my garbage bowl, okay? So I've got just my tomato flesh left. Okay, and then I'll do a couple more. So just anybody who's ready, I'm gonna show you how to do this. You're gonna slice from the inside, do slices of tomato like that.
Wow.
And then you're gonna turn it and you're gonna dice it. I'll do another one, okay? So we've sliced it and we've diced it. And I did not, my knife needs sharpening.
It got it this time.
And then in it goes into here, okay? I'm gonna show you again. So, slices from the inside, because if you try and do it the outside, the skin, it's really hard to get your knife through the skin of a tomato. So do it from the inside and your knife goes through really nicely. And then just take a few strips, make it easy for yourself, and just dice it like so, okay? Which oven is that? Crostini in? This guy? No, those aren't there yet. No, it's a very slow oven. Okay.
Stir it.
Go. And if you ever feel like it's getting too dried out, you can add more oil. As I just said to Ruki, I always add butter at the end. I think we have some butter in the fridge from before, but we'll borrow somebody's butter. But just a tiny knob, but not yet. Okay, so back to tomatoes. So these are just some basic ingredients that I'm showing you this week. Onions and shallots, they behave the same. This is we call this a concasse is the word for tomatoes. That's very French. It's just diced tomato. But the term concasse in a French kitchen is used for tomatoes. It's the only ingredient they use the word concasse for. So I'm gonna keep doing some. There you go. Ruki. Oh, you don't like tomatoes? Oh no. Okay. I was gonna say, Ruki, I feel like you've wielded a knife before. We're gonna keep going, yeah, because there's a lot of shallot. Do you like basil? Okay, I'll get you doing basil. When I was young, like your age, I didn't like tomatoes either. It took me a long time.
I've gone through stages of liking them, hating them, liking them, hating them. And
Yeah.
like cherry tomatoes, I can't stand cherry tomatoes, but I could bite into one of those like an apple. It doesn't make any sense to me, but
That's funny. I love cherry tomatoes.
yeah.
I actually like making. That's lovely. Yeah, it's perfect. So generally, I would do like lots of tomato and a little bit of shallot. Today we have a lot of shallot and a little bit of tomato because we're doing knife skills, so it's okay. And then I'm going to show you what to do with basil. We've got too much basil, so I might send some of you guys home with some basil because it will not last. You can freeze it. Yeah, because I washed it. Okay, tomatoes actually won't last either because we've washed them. So efficiency-wise, if you're doing lots of one ingredient, you kind of do one motion at a time. So I'm taking a bunch of tomatoes and I'm cutting them into strips, and then I'll do the dice afterwards. It's just more efficient if you do it like this. So if you're doing like a big prep job, you want to figure out what's going to maximize your efficiency. So doing one thing at a time is a lot more efficient. Okay. And then dice. And then to finish this, we're gonna season it with salt. And I've got another salt to show you that I brought with me. Do it, yeah, do it. Thank you. We are going to mix it up with some olive oil and a splash of balsamic vinegar and some salt, and then taste it, and we're gonna add basil into this. So I'm gonna show you how to do what we call a chiffonade of basil. Are you guys learning things? Yeah? Okay, cool. So this is in every Italian restaurant, like bruschetta. It's really common in restaurants to have bruschetta.
I just did. It's all good.
more, the garlic?
I think we've got lots. I think we did quite a bit, honestly. You can taste it. If you want to do some more, totally do it. If you like garlic, you do garlic, love.
I do ask for garlic.
Garlic's good. It's good for you too. Can you find me a wooden spoon? Or, yeah, a mixing spoon. Oh, really? Yeah. Thank you. So, we're just gonna mix that all up. And
Is it your accent, or am I saying it wrong? Because I've always called it bruschetta.
the Italians would call it bruschetta. When you have a C and an H, it's a hard. When you have a C and a C, it's a ch. But when you have the CH, it's bruschetta. It's just the phonetics of Italian are, you can tell by the way it's spelled, how you pronounce the C. Yeah, but it's fine. I think most people here call it bruschetta. Yeah. Okay. So you can do one more. Go for it. Oh, we should get those out. Thank you. All right, let me show you basil. So basil, I'm just going to do 3 leaves. And when you're trying to do a chiffonade of basil, you're going to stack them, okay? So use the biggest leaf you've got on the bottom, stack them up, and then you roll them up. We always say roll it like a cigar. And then you're going to slice it. And you can either call this a julienne, but in herb language, we call this a chiffonade. And then you've got like these little ribbons. And then even if I was gonna dice it, I would still do a chiffonade. And then you can do what's called like a rough cut and just chop it like this. If you're doing a rough cut, I'll do it. You're gonna have your blade on your cutting board, your left hand in my case, on the tip of the knife, and you're moving your handle. I'm not moving the tip, I'm moving the handle through what I'm chopping. So this is rough or cross cutting. So just to dice, okay? So, or you can just throw the chiffonade in there. So that's basil. The thing about basil though is I picked this up in Save-On. They didn't have very good basil. Superstore was out. Shopping at the moment is a giant adventure. Yeah, the Italian Center has beautiful basil, but I didn't have time to go today. Yeah, they do. They have this stuff from Morinville greenhouses. It's really like baby tender basil. It's really nice. So lots of basil into here, guys. So do some basil. Everybody do some basil. Basil. Take lots. Yeah.
Can you sprinkle that on?
I totally can, hon. Yes, I can. I know, you're good. There you go. Okay. You're welcome. And then while you guys are all dealing with some basil, I'm going to show you this. So this is fancy. This is bougie salt. This is from England. This is Malden sea salt. So this is what I would call a finishing salt. And it crumbles with your fingers. It's $10 for a box of this stuff. You're going to use it where you're going to get the crunch of it. So in something like this, you're going to taste the sweetness of it and get the crunch of it. So, you can use ordinary salt too, but just I wanted to show you this. I would finish steak with this. Like once I've sliced a cooked ribeye, on the cut edges, I would sprinkle some Malden salt on them. So lots of places you can use a finishing salt. And there's other finishing salts, like Himalayan pink salt, Fleur de Sel, which is a French one. There's lots of Fleur Gris, which is gray salt. There's also other ones, but this is gray. Yeah, Fleur Gris. Gris, it's gray, G-R-I-S, so gray in French. Yeah. And our crostini, sometimes you need to flip the tray. You need to rotate them. When you're doing crostini, you are looking for, they're done, just crunchy but not over crunchy, because if they're over crunchy, they're kind of like hard to eat. Yeah, they get too hard. But once you've made these guys, these will sit out, they'll last for a week or two, because they're dried out. So I often just have them sitting on what we call a speed rack. It's a rack that you sit sheet pans onto, and I just have them sitting on there ready to use. Like I'll make them for a job and just leave them out at room temperature. So we can turn that oven off now. And we're almost at the end of the road. We're ready to make crostini. Let's get some more basil in there. And we are gonna, this is balsamic vinegar. So a little splash of balsamico. That is not. Somebody's combined. I left that here. Somebody's put something else in that. That was not balsamic. So somebody has decanted something else into that. So we're not using that, which is a good thing. I actually bought some balsamic. Okay, balsamic shit, yeah, somebody's decanted it because that was a really good balsamic from Evolution, which is a really nice like olive oil store. I just need to, don't do what I'm doing. I need a small knife for this. Oh no, you know what? It's got a little thingy on it. So we've got some regular vinegar in there. Somebody decanted normal vinegar into that. So this is balsamic. It should be really dark, like so. Okay, a little bit of balsamic. And then we're gonna get some olive oil, which I put over there. So I just ran into Save On Foods, guys, and picked up some olive oil and some balsamico. So olive oil. Olive oil is very good for you and it tastes good. And somebody's gonna taste this for seasoning. So those tasting spoons. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're smelling. So, and it goes, I had tasting spoons sitting here. There you go, thank you. So I'm gonna try a little bit. We're tasting for salt and acidity when we taste. So, it's garlicky. It's good. We're gonna go a little more salt, so I'm just using kosher. And who else would like to give it, if you're gonna taste it, give it a tiny taste, because we want it all to go on toast, but somebody give it a taste. You're thinking about, so salt is a flavor enhancer. Salt brings the flavors, ingredients out. So it should never taste salty, but the ingredients should taste very much of themselves. So their flavors should pop out at you without tasting salty. Acidity will brighten and freshen. So when you're tasting food, if it tastes flavorless, you have salt. If it tastes dull or lifeless, go acidity. And acidity can be citrus vinegar, wine. There's lots of different ways you can add acidity to dishes. And then also in a lot of cuisines, we season with sugar too. You could add, if you were finding this was too acidic, you could add a pinch of sugar, and that would, because sometimes tomatoes can be very acidic. If you don't like that, you can add a pinch of sugar and that balances it out. Also, if you have like winter tomatoes, like these are, adding, it's a bit of a cheat. You can add a pinch of sugar and it can make them taste like they're fresher. The French will actually do that with tomato sauces. I never do, but you can add sugar. So I do a lot of Thai cooking and Vietnamese cooking. So we use an Indian, we use a lot of sugar in those cuisines. Korean, I do a lot of Korean too, a lot of sugar in there. How's it taste, guys? Tastes good? Okay.
It is garlicky.
It is garlicky. So, I'm just gonna quickly show you, this is hot, how I would build a canapé. So we've got our little crostini here. We are gonna, that's garbage. So you can dunk that into the garbage. You guys can take all your knives first by your sides and take them over to the dishwashing area. I'm gonna wash my knives by hand. Does somebody have my small knife that was here? Oh, there you go. Thank you. I always hand wash these. Nobody does this. It's just like, yeah.
There's just 30.
Oh, uh-oh. Haha.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
You bought that here?
No, that's okay. What you got?
Your chicken.
Oh, nice. Okay. Can I put you on one of the counters? I can make you some, oh, you need the sink?
Oh, no, we don't need it.
Because we need to, yeah, I can move my, here, I can move this.
And I have a whole space.
Yeah, they do. yours? Yeah, of course. You just tell us if you need more. Like, what you doing here tonight? Okay, I'm gonna carry that for you. So guys, just load your knives up over here. Don't put them in the sink. You know that. Over here. Okay. And so, we'll deal with those. How are those caramelized onions doing? Nice. So you can see they've really collapsed down. You end up with a big volume, they go down by a lot, they kind of disappear. So exactly, these on burgers, French onion soup is made with these. You can throw them into stews, you can have them on sandwiches. Canapes, like this with some goat's cheese on a crostini like this is delicious. There's lots of ways to use them. Puff pastry tarts with caramelized onions are delicious with anchovies and olives and lots of things to do with them. And they freeze really well. So if you made a big pot of these, you can keep them in your freezer. I'm gonna get you guys to take your cutting boards and they can actually go straight into the dishwashing. And what I'm gonna do before you take them to the dishwashing, take your bench scraper and just scrape any stuff so it doesn't end up in the sink, okay? If you clean off your plates and everything really well before they hit the sink, you don't get as much crap in the sink, yeah? So you can either stack them up here. Let's stack them up here. There you go. Yeah, just stack them up and then we'll do the dishes. Yeah, you can put those in the sink. Thank you. In our dish pit, we have a big garbage and we scrape everything into the garbage. So there's a big garbage right next to the sinks. And we load all of our plates onto a cart. And then before they hit the sink, we scrape them off. Okay, so you thought you would never eat potentially, but you are gonna eat. I will wash those. We're gonna keep this salt here for next time. And then, so this is again kind of pro skills when you are making food. You don't make it on the plate you're serving it on. You make it on like a sheet pan, this sheet pan, and then you transfer it onto your plates so it looks pretty. So you're not spilling a mess onto the final plate that you're going to serve it on. So I would have them all sat like this on a sheet pan, and I would just build my canapes. This is a canapé is a single bite. It's like a one bite canapé. Or hors d'oeuvre is the other. Or you can just call this a crostini. The other word you'll hear for this is bruschetta. This is a bruschetta topping, but usually a bruschetta is like on a big piece of toast, like it's a big one that you have to use a knife and fork with, whereas these are crostini. And then you're literally just gonna pile tomato onto all of these and get them all nicely. We probably could have done both loaves actually. I'll just send somebody home with the extra. So just load them up, okay? So maybe I'll get a couple of you doing these. There's spoons, all right? There's clean spoons there. And just put them, load up those little canapes. Give somebody else that. Does anyone want to take basil home? Okay. So, there's a Ziploc, hun. You could, or just wrap it in some paper towel and take it like that. We're keeping the garlic here. Because we've washed these are not gonna last the week. Does anybody want to take tomatoes home? You want to take some? Okay, so who else? 3 of you? Okay, so split those between the 3 of you, okay? Do we have something we can throw them in? Yeah, baggies. Baggies works, yeah. Just make sure you use them. I don't know if you know, tomatoes should never go in a fridge, but once you wash any vegetable, there's basically like a coating on all vegetables and fruits that keeps them good for longer. Once you've washed them, you've washed that bloom off the outside, they go off faster. So you want to use these soon. these, should I just keep all this in the fridge? I wouldn't normally put onions in the fridge, but it'll be fine. Thanks, Tolu. And this we're gonna keep in our box here. So your garlic, I bought this garlic at Superstore, just peeled. I usually use local garlic, but if I'm doing a lot, like let's say I'm doing Thai cooking, which uses a lot of garlic, I'll buy it peeled like this. So just so you guys aren't spending your time peeling garlic here, but at some point I'll show you a little trick for peeling garlic where you shake it in a bowl to help get the skins off. That in the fridge. Sorry. And then we'll have some left over, so does anyone want to take some home? Yes? Okay. So you're going to grab a couple of Tupperwares from over there and just bring them back next week, guys, okay? Okay. As we're finishing this up, any questions?
Yeah, we'll use those instead. You're good. You don't need to grab the Tupperware. We have something else over here. Then you don't have to remember.
Just be careful when you get home to transfer it in something because these will get soggy because it's wet.
Yeah.
Yeah? Use a plastic thing and bring it back. It will. These will get soggy with this. It's quite a wet mixture. Any questions, guys? So I had a question for everybody, and again, I'm going to start with Phoenix. What do you like to cook? And what do you like to eat? Thank you. Those, turn them right down now.
I think we should reduce the heat.
I've just turned it right down. Yeah. But they're not burned, they're caramelized, they're good. What do you like to eat? Anything?
Spicy.
You like spicy? Okay. Do you have a cuisine, like Mexican or no? Okay. All right. Ruki, what do you like to eat?
Anything is fine.
Anything? Is there anything you particularly like cooking? You could even tell me you like cooking fish, or you like cooking steak, or you like cooking vegetables. Okay, cool. What is a traditional meal?
We have one for FEB.
Okay.
We use spinach here. We have another one called egusi.
Yeah, I've heard about that from the last group, and I still need to make it. Yeah.
We're gonna teach you, don't worry.
Okay. With melon seeds and ground crayfish.
Yeah. So there's another one we call banga.
Okay.
It's been done using palm fruits.
Okay.
Let me teach you just the steak.
Cool.
Along the line you can do.
Okay. KJ, what do you like to cook? What do you like to eat? Breakfast? Okay, cool. Like eggs? Sandwiches. Okay. Cool. All right.
I like to eat
Cheesecake. Okay. Cheesecake would be a 2-week project because you can't make it in 2 hours. Yeah. Yeah.
stuffed peppers.
Stuffed peppers. Okay. Erin, what do you like to eat and cook? pastas? Okay, this is helping me plan what we're gonna do too. Like I have an idea based on what we did last time, but I can change it. Like last time we had your sister, I think, like sandwiches, or was it you like sandwiches? So a couple of people wanted sandwiches. So we did Vietnamese sandwiches. We did banh mi. Nader, what do you like to eat? What do you like to cook? Say that again? Pasta. Pasta? Pasta. Okay, so we'll do a pasta. Okay. Okay. Cool. Good to know. All right, you should all, I'm gonna have one. Okay, I'm not gonna do plates because it makes more washing up, so.
You don't like? You have to try it.
You guys did good. They're good. You're fine, don't worry about it. We're gonna clean. We're gonna clean. I don't know, does anybody else want some? Okay, Devin, I don't know why I want to call you Devin. Phoenix,
But if
Phoenix
it's
says.
not, that's okay.
If you guys want a plate, there's plates in that cupboard. If you want a plate for eating, it doesn't take us very long to wash plates. Feel free to grab a plate or just hold it over one of these bowls that we need to wash if you want to. I'm gonna have one more. Do you like them? That is classic Italian. This is very similar. Yeah, you're just gonna eat them. And then we're just gonna clean up. So, yeah, I bought this in Superstore. So this was Ace Bakery baguette, but any baguette, you can use any baguette. Yeah, yeah. This is a I'll show you. This is from Superstore. It's a ciabatta baguette. It is the Italian Center. If you ever go there, they have baguette. Here it is.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I like this one because it's the ciabatta, so it's quite nice. And just cut it thin and bake it. You've got the recipe, 400 in your oven. Drizzle it with olive oil. I didn't do the thing where you can to make it taste a little garlicky. If you take a cut garlic clove, rub them right when they come out of the oven while they're still warm. If you do it while they're warm, the oils from your garlic come out, and they just, without being overly garlicky, you get that flavor of garlic into it, but we had enough garlic going on here, so we didn't need extra garlic. But you can do that, yeah. But yeah, so that's very simple food, but the Italians, this is very popular in Italy. I'm from the UK, and this used to be in every Italian restaurant in the UK. They always had bruschetta. You can also use this on, I don't know, flatbreads. There's all kinds of ways you can use this. And it is very similar to the Mexican pico de gallo salsa, which is really the same mix of tomatoes and onion, but you would use, instead of basil, cilantro, and you would add some diced chilies to it, and you'd get some lime juice in there instead of the balsamic vinegar. But very similar. Oh.
And I can't get my phone. He said we shouldn't hold our phones.
Yeah, you can now. We're finished.
We're done, right?
We're done. We just got to do dishes.
So let me
We're done with food.
the dishes and I'll-
Yeah. So I'm gonna eat one more. They are good, right? Even with these, I bought these tomatoes today at Superstore, so they're not super ripe. In an ideal world, leave your tomatoes out at room temperature to ripen up. Leave them for like a week, and they'll ripen, and use them after a week. But these I bought today, so in a week from now, they'll be juicy and tasty, but they're still fine. So next week, we're building on knife skills. We're gonna learn to make a vegetable stock, and we're gonna make kind of like a simple minestrone. We're gonna make a soup with carrots, celery, soy cabbage. We'll learn to slice cabbage. Does everybody eat bacon? Are you all okay with bacon? You don't eat bacon? Okay, that's okay. We'll make a pot without it. Yeah, that's cool. No pork? Okay. Pork and ham? No, that's fine. It's good to know. Okay. All right, so guys, dishes. So wash your hands after eating before we do dishes. So every week we'll make sure you have something to eat because you need to eat. It was very nice to meet all of you, but we're gonna do dishes. We need to do dishes. So, is there a dish sponge or anything?
Pardon?
Is there a dish sponge or anything like that?
I was using one.
Okay. So guys, the gloves are down here. So if you just wash all this and then pop it into this and dunk it, and then in a pro kitchen, they don't dry stuff, it should air dry, but we will dry. The big commercial dishwashers? Yeah, I don't have one of those, but those are fabulous. They're like a 45-second cycle, they're great. Yeah, so they had one of those? Yeah, they're great. Yeah, the soap is it over there? No, that's not soap. Oh, it's behind you. Here, back there. Where was camp? Yeah, I have thicker ones too. Yeah. So with these, we'll just literally, we've got the bleach in there, so just. And can I get someone drying? Okay, guys, can I get one of you drying? No. Okay, can I get a couple of you over here on dish helping out? We need drying. So you're gonna dry these bowls and then stack them on the side over there. So. Yeah, I think so. So a couple of you guys could grab rags and do some drying. There's more rags here, guys. And I'm gonna clean up here. I don't know what that is.